here. I'm recording.
You're recording.
All right.
It's Easter. This is the day of the resurrection. Welcome to Fleeting Thoughts. Thank you for being here with us today.
Jesus. Praise Jesus.
Praise him.
Praise the baby Jesus. Praise the adult Jesus. Praise all the Jesuses. I love Jesuses.
My favorite one's the baby one in the manger, I think. Just so innocent, helpless. Hasn't betrayed the Romans or whatever yet, and
it's
caused some kind of uprising.
How did he by supporting other doctrines other than the approved state doctrine?
Hey, if you don't support those doctrines, guess what? You get betrayed and stabbed in the back. That's what happens, man.
Judas. I hate Judas for what he did. I hate him. I hate Judas, and I hate other Bible bad guys. You know what I mean?
That Cain guy, when he killed his brother Abel, not good.
Yeah, that's
good,
more
man.
of an allegory. I don't like. They were the only two men around.
That really happened. Okay.
I think
and one had to usurp the other one.
Let's figure out which Jesus stories are real right now.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Genesis. Let's go.
Totes real. 7 days.
7 days.
7 days, man. Seventh day rested. That's what today is. It's rest day. Yeah. Well, and then I guess he also didn't rest because he was raised from the dead. Came back.
You talking about God or Jesus? Because I thought God
Same
was
thing.
The one who made.
Same thing.
No, because God's Jesus. No. God's the Father. Okay, he came down and
he's the daddy.
He made Whoopi with old
Mary.
Old Mary.
Mary, mother.
Well, they made Whoopi while she slept.
That's right. I remember.
That's not. I don't believe that God got consent for that relationship. Well, I know you believe, but I do not believe that there was consent involved.
Oh shit! You're talking about Jesus rape or God rape? You're talking about that holy rape?
I'm talking about that holy rape. And I think that's really where all rape stems from. Is just that single moment when Jesus was created. That was Jesus. You know how there's original sin? There's original rape. That was the original rape.
That's the first time. There's no way that was the first time. But I bet people before that there was no rape.
That was the first time it was okay because God did it.
Oh, well.
And that's why you have people trying to use that as their defense.
Is Jesus a bastard?
Boys will be boys.
Is Jesus a bastard though?
Boys.
Boys will be boys. Just run around being all godlike, raping things. I feel like a god. I feel like a god. It makes
God did it. It must be okay.
It makes me feel like a god.
Boys will be boys.
I'm just saying, I'm Batman, and I like to be a boy. Sometimes I forget how fun doing the Batman voice is, and then you do it, and you're like, oh yeah, it's awesome. Who doesn't like that?
I always go into the where's the trigger immediately. Where's the trigger?
Where's the trigger? Can we trust him? Can we trust him? I don't know.
He was the best.
He was the best of us. He was the worst of us. Praise Jesus on this Sunday. Sunday. He's like a World Wrestling Federation guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna get you with the hard elbow of Batman.
It's the elbow of justice.
I'm just no big deal. It's just the elbow of justice. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I like when he does it. I just watched that movie again, Dark Knight, and I like when he does it around Morgan Freeman. Even though he knows who he is, and it's like, I don't know, you're the best of us, Morgan Freeman, and it's like they're alone in a room, and it's only because he's wearing the bat outfit, the suit. So essentially, Batman is a method actor. So when he's wearing the suit, he's in method. It doesn't matter what the logic is.
I think it's particularly the cowl part, because I think there's moments in the movie where he's got the outfit on, just not the cowl up over his head. I think he talks normally.
Right.
I think it's the moment the cowl comes over, then it's like full Batman persona.
Maybe the cowl actually connects to his throat.
It gives him a
and
lisp,
it
like a
just
deep rally
automatic.
lisp.
No, that yes, I'm Batman. That's right. I'm Batman. Don't worry about it. Why would it give him a lisp? It would be the throat thing. Like it just makes him talk
Well,
darker,
that's
Dark Knight talk.
they do that in the Batman vs Superman and Justice League movies, the Ben Affleck
Yeah,
Batman.
I know he does a
He's got
voice
like
too.
that voice
Oh
modulator.
yeah,
So it's
right.
like it just like modulates it
Just
to
sounds
go
like
deeper.
Ben Affleck after a bunch of drugs
Hmm.
in the evening.
That boy's got a drinking problem.
That boys, praise Jesus. Let's pray for Ben Affleck.
Yep. Put
Benny
your
Affy
hand up, put your hand up.
on this Sunday.
Hey.
Hey, Jesus, Jesus.
I hope
Thank God for
somebody
Jesus.
skips ahead while listening to this episode to just those
I
moments. Like,
don't.
wait, is this fleeting thoughts or is this like a evangelical fucking
Well,
sermon?
as
What's
you
going
can
on?
see, we have Jesus's wonderful creation behind me, Earth.
Earth.
Earth. I don't know.
Back
Is it
when
Earth?
the th was pronounced as an F sound, a hard F, just
That's right.
Earth.
That's right.
Well, anyway, how's your week? It's been a couple weeks
Well,
actually. How have you been the last couple weeks? What's up? Anything
um,
exciting happening other than working, which is why we missed
um,
last weekend?
well, yeah. No, nothing exciting is going on at all, other than I think I'm falling apart and my body is broken.
Oh my
Um,
God.
in the last like 3 days, my eye has deteriorated and is leaking uncontrollably. And then I was wiping it, like trying to, you know, like make it worse on it, because I'm
Of
a
course,
human
yeah.
being,
Mhm.
and like something's problematic and you just poke at it. So I like it was leaking really bad one day. My left eye just does that now because I'm dying. And so I kept on like dabbing it with my shirt and with my
Mhm.
fingers, just really going to town, I guess. And then the next day it just like is super in pain, and it's taken a few days. It's getting better, but it's
Hmm.
kind of like hard. Like I had to wear my glasses all day yesterday, my sunglasses, because like it's super sensitive to light. And I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm not excited about what's going on with my eyeball. And then I woke up the other day and my back was just super killing me. And then I woke up yesterday and my neck was killing me. And so I just need to,
At
I
that
think I need
age,
to take a
man,
break.
just from life or just
No,
yeah.
I've been working a lot, and I've only had like sporadic days off for about a month. I haven't had 2 days off in a row. And I was stressed out about a couple things. And so it I
What
don't
you
know.
got
I
going
think it
on?
caught up to me.
You got the old stress eye going on, where it like
Yeah, I think
twitches
so.
out and then just starts leaking. Could be like an allergies thing too. I don't know if you ever get allergies, but like my eyes will get super watery and leaky,
Well,
like if my allergies are.
I would think it was allergies, except for it's only one eye.
Mhm.
And it's been happening for years now. It just developed all of a sudden, and it's all year, and it's weirdly sporadic. Like I'll have a couple days where it doesn't do anything, and then some days it'll just be bad. So I think it might
Hmm.
be an allergic reaction, but I think there's something wrong with the tear duct in that eye. I think it's like permanently damaged or something.
Hmm. Well, what you should do is go see a
I
professional
know. Well, the last
or
time I was
keep
at the
guessing. That's
doctor,
fine.
well, I just keep poking it. That's my
Mhm.
solution. The
Just
last time I went
draining
to see
it.
a doctor, I mentioned it and he just kind of brushed it off. Like, I don't know. He didn't
Yeah,
really address it.
eyes do that sometimes. They just get leaky. It's fine. It's old age.
You're fucking getting older, dude.
Yeah, it's
You're in
just
your
worn out.
30s.
Your
People
tear
used to
duct,
die around 30 before.
your tear ducts are just worn out. Okay, it's like a dam that hasn't been serviced or maintenance in many a decade, and now it's just letting
Hmm.
water leak through. It's fine. This happens.
Good old damn.
Maybe it's going to completely break it, and you're just going to be fucking crying all the time. Who knows?
Welcome to Fleeting Thoughts. My name is Joe. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Over to the right there is Channing. How's your week been, Channing?
It's been good. Just been working, been painting. As you can see behind me, I actually have an office space now.
Yeah, it looks really professional.
So yeah, it's all painted, and my large body is blocking, but my wife has a desk right on the opposite side there. Isn't that fun?
Nice. That's awesome. You can do back to back work,
Hmm.
office work.
Well, she works from home still, She has since like March of last year, and so now this has been great for her because now she has like a really good. Before everything was set up in our dining room because I had some family staying with us, and um, they were using this room and another room. So the other room we turned into like an exercise room. So we just got done repainting that this weekend. Got
Nice.
my
So you got
total gym in
you got
there
your
and a
total
stationary
house.
back, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Looks good. I'm
it
jealous.
it's crazy how much easier it is to concentrate when you have like a room like this that you can sort of just close the door and it's just
Yeah.
you in a room. Because even like we had a nice space set aside in the dining room, but the dining room is just like so open, and then the living room's right there. So it's like if somebody was watching TV, it's just noise. And
Hmm.
here it's just like this really nice, sort of calm, quiet space. Makes it
Sure.
easier to write and get other stuff done.
Get into the right little headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But yeah, other
Cool.
than that, just working on that, writing, working, playing games, living
Nice.
life. Luckily, I don't have leaky eyes. Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super worried about it. It's just when all three happen, like my back is because I haven't been able to work out very well. I'm still doing a couple things here and there, but it's like I feel like I need to just not do anything, but it doesn't, it's just taking longer to get better. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's
It's
annoying.
it's age, man. That's 30, 30's all downhill from here. Your body doesn't get stronger usually. I mean, unless you're
Well,
really going out of your way, but I
I'm
mean naturally.
stronger and in better health than I've ever been because I've been treating myself better. So it's just kind of
Hmm.
like obnoxious that I have to chill out for a while. I don't want to chill out. I want to get hard. I want to
Get
I want to get I want to take on the world.
okay, that
Mostly I
makes a
just
little more
want to go
sense.
outside and like take walks, and I still do that. That's fine. I
I think
actually yesterday I went out to the one of the parks that are around here that I really like to go to, and I took some photos of some birdies, which was nice.
oh,
I
I
got some
saw
really decent
those.
photos. Did you check
Yeah, I
some of
saw
those
that.
out? I put them
Yeah,
on Instagram and stuff.
I try to like click through whenever you post them on Instagram, or like when you tweet out your blog link. I'll usually click on it and check through what you did.
It's just stuff. It's just a little stuff I like to do. It's
Yeah.
no big deal.
Yeah, the weather's getting nicer. It's gonna be harder and harder for people to stay inside, and
Oh yeah,
luckily
they're not
more people
staying
are
inside.
getting yeah. Well, luckily more people are getting vaccinated. Vanessa's
They
got
are,
an
yeah.
appointment to go get vaccinated today, actually, her first one. So she's going to a clinic today to get started.
Yeah, I heard that based on my essential job status, I'm allowed to start to go get vaccinated now. They're opening it up to my level of I don't know, social status,
Mhm.
right?
Are they
Career
doing like
status.
are they doing just like big mass clinics there? That's what they're doing over here in like Eugene and Springfield. They just have like certain area, like the Lane Event Center today is just
Hmm.
like a big mass clinic that people can go to. And
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I know a few people who've had vaccines, but I don't. I think they just went to clinics like their normal doctor.
Mhm.
But I don't know. My mom got vaccinated a while back because she works in education and is older. Um, and a couple of people at my work have gotten vaccinated, but definitely been seeing a lot of people coming in and showing us their vaccine cards because they're so proud of them.
Mhm.
They're very excited about them.
Yeah, I took a picture of mine, so I have like a copy on my phone, and then I laminated it
Yeah.
and stuck it in my safe because they were saying that you'll probably need it, like if you're going to be doing any kind of traveling in the future, you'll probably need to have proof that you've been vaccinated just
Yeah.
to help.
I don't know
So
what that I don't know because like people have been traveling this year like on
yeah,
planes and trains and automobiles, so it's kind of an interesting thing for them to just add a requirement. Maybe it's more of a speedy, like it'll just make it quicker and easier and you can have more people travel
yeah,
and
I
not
think
limited as much, but I'm not
yeah, I don't
sure.
think they have it. I don't think it's a requirement yet, but I
Yeah.
just heard that there was like, whispers or talk that they
Yeah.
might try to make it required or in
Yeah.
some capacity.
I think it's interesting to treat this particular virus in such a such a way. I think it's
Mhm.
interesting because I feel like there's always been risks to travel and risks to hanging out with other people, but this particular one has just had such a different response. It makes me skeptical as to the weighted nature of it. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a skeptic of its problematic nature, but I am. I'm not always so trusting of society's reactions to things on whole
Mm-hmm.
as a mass group of human beings. Um, I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting to think about. I'm planning a big trip later in the year where I'm going to have to get on a plane and go to a different country. So I'm planning on getting vaccinated to make that whole process easier. But
Yeah. Well,
I'm,
now that they're becoming more and
yeah,
more like the vaccines becoming more and more accessible, it's like just go get
yeah,
it. Just just go do it, and
yeah.
then we can just move on from that. If
I
everybody
just
just goes and gets vaccinated, we can fucking move on with our lives.
can I pose a skeptics slash paranoia
Oh, of
to
course.
you?
That's why I'm here. That's why I talk to you. I love the
So
conspiracy theories.
my impression of the vaccine is that it was developed exceptionally rapidly and hasn't had um, almost any time to be long-term tested as far as results. So what makes me think is that the vaccine is a fairly mild version of a vaccine or something like that, something that they can say is safe but without a ton of testing. Because obviously you can do testing over the last year, which is what they've been doing, but something that's supposed to inoculate you, I most vaccines just have a lot longer testing periods, and every drug has a lot longer testing periods because you literally can't test long-term effects without having time.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me it's like if it's safe, which it seems to be, a lot of people are reporting very little in the way of um, symptoms or side effects, and that's good. Um,
Yeah, for
it
me,
means
I
that
just
it,
had,
yeah,
I mean, it just knocked me
go
on my
ahead.
ass for a couple of days after I got the second dose. But I mean, other than that, I haven't had
Yeah,
any issue.
whatever. That's fairly typical of a vaccine, especially if it's new. Um, that it's going to have some of the similar effects of the actual virus, and then but be much milder and less deadly. So I think that's good. I think that but its effectiveness, I think, is what I'm challenging and what I'm curious about. And I don't think we, obviously they have their test results and their preliminary data, but I'm just curious. To me, it's like an experiment. You're just experimenting on millions of people to try this vaccine out that hasn't had a ton of long-term testing. And as a like I'm not an early adopter of anything. I I'm super like technology. I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to deal with it. Um,
I know I was proud of you when you finally retired your flip phone last year and got a smartphone.
I know, right?
I was so proud.
Speaking of smartphones, I literally just got a brand new phone, Moto Power G, which is exciting. My other phone is super old and got cracked. So anyway, I think people get vaccinated, do whatever you want. I don't have any problem with it. I'm just I'm skeptical of it just being this tumbleweed of expectations and confidences in such a short period of time. Like science just doesn't work that quickly as far um, as confidence. Like I'm just not that confident in the medical system to produce such miraculous things. And obviously the problem is people think vaccines are miracles, and they're not. They just have propensities to help situations. But just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you're not going to get the virus, and just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you can't transmit the virus, and just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you won't get ill from the virus. It just reduces all of those issues
Yeah.
to some degree. And that's part of the problem with the concept of vaccines is we have some vaccines that are so effective that they seem miraculous, like the polio vaccine. And then we have some vaccines that just give you a moderate decrease in the potential risks. And we kind of lump them all together to go, well, if you don't do it, you're not doing something miraculous. But really, if you don't do it, you're just not adding that little bit of resilience, depending on the virus or depending on the vaccine. I'm trying to talk about viruses in general, but also about the
Mm-hmm.
specific one here. And I think, it's like, it's fine to trust the medical industry and get a vaccine, and it's important for some people to do that. Um, but the idea that you have to do this based on the expertise of a group of people who have had very little time to develop this stuff is just something I'm skeptical of. I'm just skeptical of any group telling me anything. I lean that particular way, and I don't think that it's necessarily accurate. Like, I might not be right, that be skeptical. I just don't know. I just I just want to I just that's my nature, is to be like, I don't trust authority completely. Um and yet I'm still, part of the system, and I plan on doing what I think is right. But and
Kind of part of being in a society is sort of just accepting some of these things that you're not
it
necessarily
is
stoked
for
on.
sure.
No, so I like as far as like this particular vaccine, I hear people who are like concerned about it because of how quickly it was developed and how limited the testing's been. And I know, like, as far as developing the vaccine, like obviously science and medicine has just come such a long way that I'm sure that they're able to develop these things way faster than they've ever been able to, because they have this understanding of from other vaccines that they've made. So they probably use similar methods, and it's probably just about isolating whatever particular strains they have to look at. So I could see the I even have people that I work with, because where I work, the reason why I was vaccinated so early is because I work at a hospital, and so they were like really encouraging all of us to get vaccinated so that we could continue to help patients and have less chance of getting exposed. Because in like a clinic, if one person gets sick, it can spread like wildfire. Like the place I work at, like if somebody's sick, they're like, no, you need to stay home because it can spread so quickly through these spaces. So they really wanted us all to get vaccinated, because when they first said that the vaccine was coming out, I was not thrilled. I wasn't going to be like, ooh, I'm going to get the first one in line to get that. I was like, I kind of want to like wait and see like what happens with this. Like, if there's some people that want to be guinea pigs for it, go ahead. um but then where I like, since the place I was working at, they were really strongly encouraging us to do it, and some of my coworkers had gone and gotten theirs, and I was like, you know what, I'll just do it. Like, if it's a small bit part that I can play in helping to get this shit dealt with, basically. So then that was when I went and did it. But I can see people being hesitant. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up having to get booster shots, because there already are variant strains that are starting to crop up now and are spreading. And it's like, I doubt this particular vaccine's probably going to be able to cover all these random variants that are cropping up. So
Well,
I could see
that's,
this being something that there's
yeah,
just going to be booster shots for. And they also don't know how long the efficacy is. Like, how long does it actually stay in your system and protect you? I mean,
sure. Well, that's
it could
part
be
of
something where it's like it's like a rabies shot for dogs, or it's like every year you got to go get your
oh, really?
booster to keep it going or something. Who knows? I mean, because they don't, I mean, like you said, they haven't had time to really see all the different effects through testing. And I mean, shit, there could be some crazy long-term thing. Maybe we all get some kind of fucking crazy cancer in 5 years because we got this fucking dose of stuff. Who knows?
I
But I
think that
mean,
it's fairly, that's why I think that if they put out a vaccine this soon, then its actual like chemical makeup and its ability to alter your DNA has to be mild. It can't be this really powerful vaccine, like in its actions, in the things that it does to your body, because they genuinely have no clue what that would do to you. So it has to be somewhat of a kind of like if you were gonna like try to kill an elephant, you can either do it, with one shot that's huge, or you can do it with like over the course of a year with like a bunch of poison or something. And so to me, it's like, this is just a more subtle thing, or it is very powerful, and we just, who knows what kind of effects it'll have. I'm skeptical that they would make it do a lot of different, I mean, obviously, I'm not a fucking virologist, and I don't know enough about this. There's a couple different types of vaccines and different people administering them.
mm,
But I imagine anything that happens fairly quickly in the medical industry is something that is looked at highly skeptically by those people. Those people are not going to go around willy-nilly backing certain things that are going to, cause a ton of problems. So I trust that it's probably fine. I just don't necessarily trust that it's a miracle. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I would
I'm putting
never.
my like, like, oh, okay, so we do it and we add this little bit of potential resilience, but the idea that that means um, now you're safe to fly and we can all hang out doesn't make any sense to me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like some people are like, get vaccinated, it's fucking now everything's back to normal. But that's not the case. We're also there. It's not the only problem in the world. It's a little bit frustrating to have such a massive response to something and see all this money put into it when obviously people are dying. I get that, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess I'm getting weary of, it's been a year and a month or so, and I still don't get to see people's faces. I still feel awkward when I go even out into parks, and some people are wearing masks and some aren't. And it's still just this super awkward thing. I'm I want to see people's faces again. And if the vaccine makes people comfortable, that's fine. But if it's not actually helping, then I don't know. Like, are we seeing, you know, a ton of really good results from the vaccine where areas that are vaccinated are the cases of deaths are dropping? To me, the cases of deaths are roughly where they've been.
Oh yeah.
But
No, well, and
obviously
they're
the vaccine is
actually,
only like a couple, a month or two old. So
well, it's just now
ah,
becoming
we
available
just
for
don't even know.
widespread,
It's hard to tell.
but as far as deaths, I mean, they're just going back up again right now because kids are returning to school, and now they're saying that they're showing it's basically cropping up the like the 10 to 19-year-old age range is now like way worse than any other age range because all these kids have returned to school and they're all around each other, and the kids aren't going to distance themselves. They're not going to wear their masks religiously. They're
Yeah.
kids. I mean,
But
you can barely trust them to fucking
but
piss in a
that group of
urinal.
people aren't the group of people who are dying from it. People aren't dying from
No,
10 to 19,
no.
but I guess the spread of those people to their
But then
parents
they
and
take
to
it
their
home. Yeah.
grandparents, I get that, but um it is an interesting thing to like be like, yeah, I don't know. Like what do you do? Just keep everybody home for the next 5 to 10 years until they come up with an actual like uh more
Well, it's
hardy
worth. I think
vaccine? I don't understand.
what's worth studying. I think is what they did in like New Zealand because they have no cases
Yeah.
because and I think it's because they were much more strict in their shutdown when all this first started compared to
Yeah.
us. Like it was already starting to get out of hand when they finally were like, okay, like we need to go into like a lockdown or whatever. And even then, not everybody does it because, America and freedom and all that fun stuff. So, some people are not going to do what they're asked to do regardless because they don't. I mean, we're all inherently fairly selfish. So if them saying, hey, you need to stay home for a couple of weeks and to let this thing kind of fucking peter out, and some people aren't going to want to do that. So
But what
that's
do they
where,
do in New Zealand? Just
no,
nobody could be around each other for a couple
yeah,
weeks?
they just did the lockdown.
But they
They
have
went
such
in.
a smaller population. I would assume that
Well,
those
that
people are
too, but
more,
I think
it's
they
also
just
a
took it
smaller
more.
area.
They just took it more seriously, I think, from the outset. That's something that I don't
I
think
don't
would ever
know.
work in our country because we have such a vast population with different, with a huge. I mean, we're like a melting pot of different beliefs and everything,
Well,
and so
and
it's
people
just
don't
people
trust
don't
the
trust.
government. So
Yeah.
why, but it's like, that's not in America specifically. I don't think that's irrational. I don't think it's irrational to be super skeptical of our fucking corrupt ass government. Like we all talk shit about it until we get until we get these conflicting issues. Like
Hmm.
so I get that. It's a huge problem in America. It's just in general like all the shootings and all that stuff and the open rebellion and open revolts. It's very volatile. We're a volatile country in every aspect, and so that also applies to
Hmm.
groupthink and medical
I
issues.
mean, when it came to this, it wasn't me so much paying attention to what the government was saying. Well, because I mean, at the time, Trump was in charge and he wasn't taking it as seriously as a lot of people thought he should have. For me, I was just listening to what fucking medical experts are saying and
Yeah.
epidemiologists and stuff. And these are the fucking people that are
Yeah.
trained
Yeah.
in this and study this and have dedicated their lives to it. I'm going to listen to what they say. If they say, hey, this stuff is serious, it's way more um, uh, contagious than like other viruses, it's a lot more lethal, generally speaking. So these are the steps that you should take to try to avoid it. It's not a guarantee that you're not going to get it if you follow these steps. It's just like if you do these things, it'll reduce the chance of you
Sure.
spreading and getting the disease. And so those were the people I
Yeah.
was going to listen to. And I'm just like, okay, if that's what they're saying, like I will do that. Um, but just like I said, unfortunately,
Yeah.
not everybody, a lot of people don't trust science. I mean, I think that's why you saw a lot of like the through the Bible Belt and communities that are more like religious leaning and not so much leaning towards science. Like they're the states that had like the worst outbreaks because people
Yeah.
just they refused to believe that. I mean, a lot of places didn't even believe this was a real thing. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories and stuff going around about it. So it's
Yeah, it's
just
interesting the whole concept of it not being real, like people don't get sick. Like even if it wasn't real, but then you saw somebody get the regular flu, like what do you think's going on there? Like
mhm.
that's real, right? Like people get flus, so
Yeah.
there can be, new strains of flus. That's seems super
Well, people were
uh
comparing it to the flu. We're like,
uncontroversial.
oh, this is just no worse than the flu. It's like, the flu doesn't kill over 500,000 people in a year. So there's that. Like, it's definitely a higher tier than just like a standard flu. Because, yeah, the flu does kill thousands of people every year,
Yeah,
but
I think
not over 500,000.
yeah, that's the main concern. The main
Mhm.
concern is its lethality, and um it's much higher than the normal flu. Um, so that's why
Well,
they can
and
justify, making major actions regarding it.
yeah. Well, and then like going back to kind of like our inherent selfishness is like a lot of people who are in our age range, like 20s, 30s, like you're not if you have taken care of yourself and you don't
You're
have
not at risk.
pre-existing
Yeah.
conditions, like the probability of if like you got it, the probability of you having a long-term side effect or dying from it is very low.
Yeah.
And so you have people like us in this particular demographic that don't take it very seriously because they themselves aren't. It's like, nah, if I get sick, oh well, I'm just going to be down and out for a couple of weeks and then I'll be fine. But it's more about like and I think this hits closer to home for me because my wife's a type 1 diabetic. So she falls into the category of having an immunodeficient disorder
Hmm.
and is a part of the vulnerable population. So for me, I was taking it much more seriously
Yeah.
because I live with somebody. It's like, I don't want to be out doing stupid shit and then get sick and bring it home to my wife because it has a higher
Yeah.
chance of killing her. So it sucks that we as a society couldn't just think about other people like, oh, this may not affect me personally on a
Yeah.
deeper level, but it could affect grandparents or other loved ones or all
Yeah.
these people around you. It's like it's not so much about you, it's about
I
everybody
I
around
think
you
what we
too.
needed was more testimonials from real people. Like
Hmm.
instead of hearing it from medical people, we needed like just tons and tons of actual accounts because people love anecdotes and stories. They love
Hmm.
that more than data. They love that more than authority. They want to hear from the grandparents that are dying and leaving, these sad people behind. They want to hear about, like, is it really that bad for people that are diabetic? How do I
Hmm.
know that? Just because people are saying you have a higher chance and you have an immuno issue, like that doesn't hit home to anybody.
Yeah.
Like people also, like the idea that people should care about random strangers is not biologically or evolutionarily logical. It's just not in our nature to be worried about random hundreds of thousands of other people. But
Well,
when
but
we
I
get to but when we get to know people through testimonials, through seeing their
mm,
faces on television, we care more about them. But the idea of abstractly having empathy or compassion or whatever toward other people is not. I don't think that's natural to humans. I think that it happens when you feel like you're part of a community of people that you actually are understand, that you like get them. Like everybody in New Zealand, there's such a small population, they probably feel some sort of connectivity with everyone else in New Zealand. America isn't like that at all. We're
No.
super spread out. We barely care about our neighbors, and we probably don't. We care about our friends and our family and our coworkers because we're around them, we see their faces, we talk to them, and they've been humanized. And that's what we need for this type of issue, is you have to use the internet to humanize real cases. And what I haven't seen is massive testimonials from people who have COVID and massive testimonials from people who've been around people who died from COVID. Just if we had millions of videos on YouTube of that, that would be something that you could watch and feel like there's like all those people aren't lying, right? So that might be just my kind of like something I kind of don't see. I just don't see that type of stuff. Like, why aren't people constantly making a video about how they have COVID on YouTube? Is it just
Mm-hmm.
not being reported? Is it not able to be put online? Is it people don't trust those people? You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't that kind of interesting that we live in an age where everything is being video recorded? But I haven't watched one video where somebody's like, oh, I mean, maybe I've watched one or two, but like, hey, my grandma got COVID in March and she died in whatever comes after March, April, when we're in right now. I'm
April,
just
yeah.
making up stuff. I'm just talking about
Yeah.
like I get people people do have an effect on other people, even if they're not super close by, and we just don't really think about it. We're very reactionary, and until it happens to you, you just don't really care a lot of times.
No, that's true.
It's not necessarily good.
We're like, and like you said, we're like emotional beings. You can hear data and
Yeah,
stats.
it's just
That's
people don't
the thing
understand
about
it.
the thing about science is it has no emotion in it. It's just about facts. Like science doesn't give a fuck about how you feel. Nature doesn't give a fuck about how you feel, but humans care how we feel.
Sure.
Like we are emotionally driven. So I would agree that like, yeah, having more testimonials. I mean, I've seen testimonials. I've seen it reported in the news,
Yeah.
and then people are either you see like two reactions to it. People are like, oh, this is a fucking hoax. This is bullshit. Or you have people who are like, this is why we need to be taking this seriously. Like now, at least this family's lost,
Yeah.
X amount of people in it. Um, and what's weird is when, especially over here in like Lane County, when cases were starting to crop up over here, they couldn't, it had to be completely anonymous. You couldn't reveal who it was because they had to worry about the safety of that family at that point. And even
Not
at
being
like,
ostracized.
yeah, and even at the place where I work, like we've had cases come up with coworkers and stuff because we have, I mean, at one
Yeah.
point we had literally a whole floor of a hospital dedicated just to COVID patients. I don't know if that's still the case right now, but so when even people that I was working with had gotten it, like
Hmm.
nobody knew who it was. Like we ended up finding out because
Yeah,
you're
of course.
texting
You always
people and
gonna
you're like,
find
oh,
out.
hey, I heard so and so,
Yeah.
but they couldn't come out and be like, hey, this person has contracted
Yeah.
COVID. And what they were doing is they would leave it anonymous, but then they were analyzing where that person had been working and who
Yeah.
they'd been exposed to so that they could try to do some contact tracing and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because like it wasn't so open, especially in the beginning. Like everything was so anonymous. It's like, oh shit, I heard so and so got it, but they couldn't come out and openly say,
Yeah.
these
It's
people have
interesting.
it. Like
It's like
it
you're
was,
blacklisted because
mhm,
you of something natural that we all need information on.
yeah,
Like, it's not the right approach. I don't like that. It's like shielding your kids from certain information because you think you're protecting them, and you're not typically. Now, I get the idea of trying not to shame people, because
mhm,
you don't want people to like um, get found out that they had a thing, and then they get shamed for going to a party or something, and then they aren't allowed back to work, or the work ends up getting sued or something. Like, there's tons of liability issues with all of this that is kind of underlying a lot of it
yeah.
decisions. um I this wasn't the main topic, but I guess
No,
we just end up
well,
talking about
it
it. it's
happens
it's
sometimes.
it's something that I'm trying to balance um my intellectual side, that's looking at data, and my skeptical side that looks at my day-to-day life, that's just sort of you know fairly normal. And it's hard to match the two up sometimes, to go, well, I'm fine. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah,
But it is an issue, and we all gotta, we're all together in some capacity. You can, you can stay at home and stay away and stuff like that, but I just roll with it and and do what I can, and what's expected for the most part. I'm not like super afraid. Like I'm not super afraid of the virus, but I'm also not super afraid of a vaccine too. Like you can be like all conspiratorial about the vaccine giving you cancer, but
Mhm.
like the other thing could kill you. So like
Yeah,
what are you
pros and
afraid of?
cons.
Are you,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what's the actual propensity here and there? We've only had a year of the virus. It could, its virility could go down over time. It doesn't typically happen that way, but things can happen. And the same with the vaccine. Its effectiveness could go up or down over time as well. So, and
I just feel
obviously they're going
like
to change it, but
I don't know. Everybody should just do. Ultimately you just need to do what you feel is right. Like, and so it's like when it comes to the vaccine, it's like I get it. I get it if you're worried about getting it. If you're concerned
yeah,
about the same. But it's like, but the flip side is if enough people can get vaccinated and prove that they're
yeah,
vaccinated,
help
there's a
everybody
great
else.
there's a great possibility that it could slowly annihilate this thing, and we can
Yeah.
all get back to living a some
I,
semblance of a normal life. So
yeah. I think
it.
I'm less worried about getting the vaccination and more worried about being restricted in some way because I don't have it. Like
And
it's
see, I
almost
hope.
like but obviously I'm restricted in certain ways. I need a license to drive and I need all these things, but adding another thing that's required to do stuff in the world is like, it's just like a thing to think about as like, like, okay, now I have to do this other thing to be able to travel, but you already have to do that. You have to get a passport to go out of country.
Hmm.
That's a totally normal thing, but I guess it doesn't involve a shot. But it
Well,
does, because you
but
actually do need
actually,
that to
I
go
was
to other
gonna say
countries. You need
some
other vaccines.
countries.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's so interesting to like integrate new risks into your life because they seem so tragic,
Yeah,
but
we literally
really
have
it's
a
just how
travel
we do
clinic
things.
we have a travel clinic that's literally designed for, oh, you're going to be traveling to Africa. These are the
Yeah, you have to
immunizations you
do
have
them,
to have.
like
So we have
malaria and whatnot.
so they have a travel
Yeah,
clinic that like literally the whole purpose of the clinic is to
yeah,
vaccinate people based off where they're going to make sure
yeah,
that they're up on there. So I mean, it's just one more immunization you would need, but I'm hoping that we don't get to a point where it becomes required, to get on a plane that you have to
yeah,
show a vaccination card. Because what would be nice is if just enough people get the vaccine and it gets under control enough to where even if you don't have it necessarily,
sure, you
so
help
many people
everyone
around
else.
you have has
Yeah,
it,
it's not
so
going to be an issue.
it's not a big deal.
Hopefully, yeah, and that's the general idea of vaccines, because not everybody can get the vaccine because of immuno issues, and
Mhm.
so that whole herd
And
issue
there's going
where
to be
it's not 100%.
there'll be a whole slew of people that just refuse to ever get it unless
Yeah, that's for sure.
unless the government really does something crazy and cracks down and makes it a
Well,
requirement. But that'd be
yeah, and
nuts.
if they make it a requirement for children to go to school, like that's how you end up having it as an adult. Is a lot of times like you didn't get vaccinated recently. You got vaccinated when you were a kid, and it wasn't that big of a deal because it had all this data and time and experience behind it. Like nobody was worried about the polio vaccine, when I was a kid. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if I got that. I don't think it's even a thing anymore. I don't know if you get
Well,
vaccinated
they
for
didn't
polio.
that basically just get eradicated for the
It
most part? I
did,
don't know. Yeah.
but every once in a while you hear of a case propping up because there's probably some dormant uh, stuff out there. But yeah, that whole thing got generally eradicated. So I don't even know if they give that out anymore. But measles and stuff like that. Um, it's just interesting.
It's just one more in the cavalcade of
It seems like it.
vaccinations
Yeah,
we all have to get.
yeah, and ultimately, like it's kind of like just do you trust science? Do you trust the consensus? Like a lot of people are on this and they know way more than I do, and while there are some people on this side and some people on that side, the vast majority of people are on one side. And unless you want to do a ton of research, you're going to have to put some trust into that group, or not, say fuck it,
Oh yeah, just keep reading the
whatever.
Bible and just assume that
Yeah,
that's the
it's
truth.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. I am going to pause for another quick break here,
Okay.
and then we'll get back to maybe a different
Looking
topic.
to the future, I think would be a good.
Yeah, let's do something more
We've been
positive.
reveling in the past now
Yeah,
for the
and
last hour or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. I don't know how long it's been. Yeah, it's 45 minutes. Okay, pause just for a moment. Ishmael. All right, we are back. Even
Although
though it
it
didn't.
seems, I say,
Yeah.
although it seems to them that we were never gone at all.
Break. That would have been a good time for a commercial.
Oh,
Buy stuff. Easter
advertising.
Sunday. And buy a Bible. Why don't you buy my Bible?
Bling,
Um,
bling, bling,
I
bling.
just wanted to quickly mention that on my camera here, I've got I switched out my webcam for my Canon 80D DSLR, and all you have to do if you want to do that, if you have a Canon DSLR, there's a list of compatible ones, and you download the EOS webcam utility, and I downloaded it. I plugged it in with a mini USB, and it worked immediately. I'm very impressed. I had no idea you could do this until one of my buddies told me about it, and
Mhm.
the quality is just so much better. It's my other webcam sucks, and its exposure control sucked, and now it's just a lot better.
Yeah, I
Your
need
camera
to.
looks great on yours.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's just the standard one. I have a
Yeah,
Microsoft Surface Book that I've been
I
using
bet
for
its
years.
webcam's
So
better
I think it's just
than
like
mine.
I think it's just a 720p, just like standard, probably
Yeah, that's
webcam.
pretty good. That's usually good enough. I mean, my camera's only at 1080, but it has a massive sensor and just deals with light a lot better.
Hmm.
Anyway, just bragging. No big
Well,
deal.
anyway, I know one of the topics we wanted to do was just maybe some like I guess like goals that we have for this year. Now that we've
Yeah,
spent time talking about the last year and basically and how kind of miserable it was for a lot of people, I feel bad
yeah,
because like overall last year, like 2020 was just a total shit show, like generally speaking, mostly due to the pandemic. But I mean, for me, it was like actually a good year on a personal level because like I bought a house and got a promotion at work. Like
yeah.
my personal life was going pretty well, despite the general state of the world. So it was kind of weird when everybody talks about how it was like the worst year of their life, and then I look back on it, and I'm like, it was actually a pretty solid year for me. Could have
Yeah, I
been
don't know.
better,
Not
obviously.
everybody is affected
Hmm.
negatively.
Yeah,
My life has not been, I'm still, I still was going to work and I didn't have to shut down. So
yeah, that
generally
was.
my life was the same.
Yeah, we were fortunate that way too, where we didn't have, yeah, we didn't get laid off or anything. So I
Yeah.
was, was grateful for that too. But it didn't it didn't affect me a lot on a personal level because I'm such a homebody anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, I just get up, I work out, I go to work, and then I come home most every day anyway. Like I'm not somebody who goes out to bars and parties and does all the stuff.
Yeah.
So it didn't really change much for me on a
Ye-
personal front. But
Yeah. So
um,
what are so it's what, April 4th
mhm.
in the year of our Lord 2021.
Easter. Oh, thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Yep. And
You.
it's ancient guttural noises. Um, so what are your big goals this year? You just mentioned that you got a house, you got a promotion. Like what more can a guy want?
So well, I mean, this year, I feel like every year I always have like a fitness goal that I try to maintain, which last year my fitness went down the drain when the pandemic started. Like I put on like about 30 pounds and because we were eating out a lot and it was, very not active time. And I think it was that paired with the stress of everything, even if you don't feel like you're stressed about it, that there's like a general vibe and energy kind of in the world around you that has an impact on you. So anyway, I basically stepped on the scale at one point last year. It was probably maybe May, I would say. And I was like, oh God, okay, this is getting out of control now. And so I had really buckled down on my diet and fitness probably about halfway through last year. And I ended up dropping about 25 pounds. So I dropped almost everything I'd gained since the pandemic had started. And I've been pretty much stuck at that weight since then. I haven't been able to lose any more. And so, it's kind of one as far as fitness goals. I want to try to lose like another 20 pounds and get down to about 195, 200, somewhere in there. Um, so that's been something I've been sort of working on, which is more about just cleaning up my diet some more than exercise. Like I get plenty of exercise. I got that Total Gym, which I have mentioned like last episode or the episode before, a couple months ago. So I've been using that in my workout routine along with running. I try to run 4 or 5Ks a week. And then after my run, I usually do about a 25 to 30 minute total gym workout. which has been working great in terms of like building up core strength. Like I've noticed it a lot. Even what's funny is like even when I wear like t-shirts, like they're a little bit tighter around my arms and chest now, as I've actually started to like build a
Ooh.
little bit of muscle. Because I've already moved up a few settings on the total gym over the last couple of months since I've been using it. Like the setting I'm on now, I could barely do when I first started using the machine. So it's like it's cool to see some like kind of strength training improvements in that regard. So I've just been doing that, and then I recently bought some reds and greens powder. It's like a powder. It's like one scoop you throw in some like water, or I make a berry and banana smoothie with some oat milk every morning, and so I've started throwing that powder in there, and it's supposed to be like the equivalent of all of your fruit and vegetable servings that you're supposed to get in a day. It's all broken down into this powder. So you just add that in there. And that just, I did that to help balance my diet because I know I definitely don't eat like enough vegetables and stuff. I get sick of them really fast. Like if I try to eat some salads or some broccoli, it's like after a couple nights, I'm like, I can't, I don't want this anymore. Like I'm over it. And so I've been trying to balance my diet a little bit more with that. So that's kind of been my fitness goals, is just maintaining that and cleaning up my diet. And then um, another goal I have, which is pretty much a goal I think every year for me, is trying to finish another book. So I'm working on the last Western Sins trilogy book right now, and it's about half written at this point. I took a break from it over the last couple of weeks to sort of reread over it and work on some continuity fixes and stuff. So I haven't written anything new in a couple of weeks, but I've been visiting it every day and kind of cleaning it up and fixing some things and sort of reorienting myself with the story, because it's changed and evolved quite a bit since I started the book. And so I felt like I was getting a little discombobulated with the story and just wanted to go back and kind of reorient and fix some things so that it all sort of flowed better again. So I'm hoping to have that done this year and to wrap up that trilogy. It's a weird book to write because you're closing out this trilogy with all these characters that you've written about over a couple of books and over some years. And so it's kind of like this weird closure book where it's sort of just sealing off the end of this whole thing. So there's like this extra layer of pressure writing it that I haven't had
Sure.
writing any other stories for some reason. I feel like it's just extra pressure I'm putting on myself because I feel like I need to create this momentous like book to really have this ending that fits the rest of the story and is like earned and deserved. So I've been working on that as well. And then, I mean, beyond that, we're just working on repainting the inside of our house right now. Like we just got this office set up and repainted, just repainted our gym in the house. And then we have the rest of the house to repaint. So it'd be nice to hopefully this year get the rest of the inside of the house painted. We're kind of just one weekend at a time taking a room and doing it. It's kind of a pain in the ass because you got to take all the stuff off your walls. You got to move your furniture, cover everything in plastic, tape things off. It's just like a total process beyond just rolling some paint on the wall. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the major things. Is just some house stuff and my
Nice.
own writing career advancements.
Cool. Yeah, big goals. I assume I mean you've got what, another 8 months? You should
Yeah,
be
it's
able
still
to
early in the
accomplish
year.
quite a lot. I think with the weather getting better and springtime on its way, if not already here. I don't know the technical dates for seasons, but
Spring
it's
is one.
spring is one. I don't know if we're in spring yet though.
No, we are.
Um,
I think it
I
officially
assumed,
started like a week or two ago
yeah.
or something. Like, you know how on my
Okay.
calendar, it's like the
Yeah.
first official day.
It's always like it's spring, but it doesn't feel like spring until like now,
Yeah.
where like the weather gets better. So it's nice to kind of be out of that dreary winter and into some makes you feel like you want to go out and do more and get more done and
That's kind of how it was.
more energy.
Like yesterday, we were just doing a bunch of yard work, and I'm like, like this weather is so nice
Yeah.
because it's not. It wasn't like it was like 60 something yesterday and sunny, so it wasn't
Yeah.
super hot, but it was nice. So we're just out mowing the yard. I had to cut down a tree in the backyard and just like
Nice.
doing all this random yard work. And but you actually like feel good doing it, and then when you're done, you like have this great sense of accomplishment. You're like, oh, I
Hmm.
got, like, look at all this cool shit that I got done.
Yeah.
Like mowing the yard is so strangely cathartic because before you start, it's like this, like our yard had started to get kind of like wild looking because it had been raining quite a bit recently. So every time I wanted to go mow, it had just rained, and trying to mow the yard with the grass just completely drenched is just a mess. And so this was like the first time where it had been sunny enough days in a row where the grass had dried out enough. And so it's cool to just like mow through it. And now it looks all uniform and neat after murdering a whole bunch of grass with my mower.
Yeah, you can see the result of
Mm-hmm.
your labor. You
But
reap what you
immediate
sow.
satisfaction,
You're a
instant
regular
gratification.
farmer.
Yeah,
You're
not at all.
the salt of the earth. You put don't put salt on the earth. It like ruins plants.
I can see
I've
that.
heard. Hell yeah.
What about you? What's your aspirations for the year?
Um, I definitely want to go camping a few times and backpacking. Maybe get a couple really kind of longish backpack sessions in. We kind of got cut off last year with the fires
Oh
and
yeah.
the vaccine, or with the COVID. So all of that hit right around the same time, and we still got some backpacking in, but we ended up having to cut off a few trips, which was disappointing because I had got a new backpacking tent just for that. So definitely do some outdoor stuff. I want to go back to play pool because now that the bars are open, there's a pool hall that I really like going to. So I want to go play some pool. I used to play pool a few times a year, and I really enjoy it. So that'll be fun. Otherwise, I don't really have anything big. I need to reassess everything. I think,
I think a lot
genuinely.
of people will be doing that because especially as like as the pandemic winds down and like people have more freedom to be able to go do. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, oh shit, like I gotta like, what are we going to do now that now I'm able to go do all this stuff again? Like what do I
Yeah.
actually want to do?
Well, it's not more about doing stuff. It's really like career wise. I need
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what I want to do. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels living in Portland and paying rent here, and I kind of moved to Portland to get away from the way that I feel about retail and about how management is in that world. And I find myself just kind of back in that and looking for positions that I was already in Eugene. And the whole reason I moved here was to not do that. So I'm like, I feel like I need to stop. I need to stop that. And I need to figure out what I really want to do and where I want to live. And it's a bit difficult because I've already moved up here and I like living, and there's people here that I want to be around, but I'm also kind of um, sick of what I'm seeing in the opportunities that are here and what I'm eligible for. And I don't know. I need to figure it out. And I need to stop complaining about it because I put myself here, and I'm kind of like, oh, it's expensive to live here, but that's how it is. That's not
I mean, it's
rational.
expensive to live almost anywhere.
I know it really
Even when the
is.
rent in this area has just
Yeah.
skyrocketed, which is really what
Yeah.
like pushed us into buying a house because it's like
Yeah.
Jesus, I don't want to keep throwing 1500 $1,600 a month away on rent.
Yeah. And I mean, just being single and living on your own, and like I, I'm trying to figure out like what do I want to do? Like, do I want to make more money, or do I want to live somewhere that's more affordable? Do I want to try to get into some alternate career? Do I want to keep eking it out and just enjoying my hobbies? Because that's really what's, allows me to go deal with my job, is that I really enjoy my hobbies, and I want to be able to have time to do them. Um, so it's an interesting I've been here for like 4 or 5 years almost, and I moved away to do something new, and I find that I'm slowly creeping back into doing what I was doing, and I need to it's purely out of money. I just want more money, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of desperate. I just need to be able to make more money, but I don't really want to do the things that I might have to do to make that kind of money. So I
Well,
just
I
don't
feel
want to.
like
I
part
don't want
of
to suck
the
that dick.
well, I think what sucks is that because you guys were doing fairly well with Fractal Focus, weren't you? Because
It
I was like a
depends on your
little.
definition of well. It wasn't generating a
Oh.
ton of income, but it was supporting itself, and we were
Mhm.
making a certain amount of profit every year. Um, there were some kind of fundamental reasons why we had to get rid of that as a full time as a kind of real go,
Mhm.
um, that our kind of interest in the actual work sort of went down, and
Mhm.
it wasn't really COVID. We were planning on taking a break anyway. COVID obviously just made that even like more
Just made it an
obvious.
easier decision.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, what are we going to go out of our way? We were already, just hustling, as much as we could with our other jobs and stuff, and just found that it wasn't that appealing. It was like, we're just, the video game in, especially in Portland here, when there's a million billion people doing it, is just a
Mhm.
slog. It's just eking out tiny tiny jobs for a long enough time until you can get, experience and good and know the right people and get a little lucky. And it just wasn't doing it for us. So um yeah, it's interesting because we did start that business as an effort to do something different, and we learned a ton doing it, but it's not happening. So I got to figure out what else, is out there.
Well, because that was one of the big reasons why you went to Portland, wasn't it?
That was
Because you
the
and
main
your
reason. That
yeah,
was
yeah,
the
because you and
reason
your
I
brother were
moved.
gonna
Yeah.
start that.
Yep. And now I'm here, and I'm not doing that, and I'm doing other stuff that's interesting and fun, but I don't know if it's lucrative enough to try to create a business around. And trying to create your own business is a lot of work, and it takes money. And living in Portland super expensive, and even, the surrounding areas are super expensive now. Even, some of the smaller rural areas are, getting developed and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't have to live here. I don't have to do what I'm doing. I just need to figure out what my options are and where I want to go from here, because it's just like, I don't know. I can take photos anywhere. I can play guitar anywhere. I can hang out with my friends. I can do that, you know. I mean, obviously I can't hang out with my friends if I live somewhere else, but um it's just a matter of, do I want to keep going to this fucking job all the time?
Yeah. It's almost like you just have to find that the job that pays the bills that you don't hate so that you can enjoy all these other things. Because it's kind of how it is for me. It's
But
like I have to
yeah, I think my
I
problem is I've been doing the same thing for so fucking long that I'm like, what? Nobody's going to hire me to do all this other stuff. I'm
Mhm.
not qualified. I mean, I'm qualified to do some low level shit, but I mean, I can adapt to anything, but that's not how hiring works. People don't
Mhm.
hire people who have completely irrelevant backgrounds. They hire people who have
Or
relevant
their friends, because
experience, or their
nepotism.
friends. Yeah. And my friends have been nice to offer, to help me and tell me about some opportunities, and but a lot of it's just in the same doing the same stuff, and I don't know. I gotta decide if I want to be like putting a bunch of effort into management and learning new skills related to that and all that, licenses and certifications, and uh I don't know. I got to figure it out.
Yeah, it was like because after because I was a store manager at one location because you and I used to work at GameStop together and I was your assistant manager and then I became a store manager elsewhere and then I it was like the worst year and a half of my life being a store manager. And then I went to Barnes and Noble where I worked as a merchandise manager for a while. And that was like the moment where I realized I could not do retail anymore. So I totally understand just being like, nope. So I immediately, and what sucks is when you do change fields like that, you go from being basically almost at the top of the chain to having to accept that you're going to have to go back down to almost entry level somewhere if
Yeah.
you want to switch. And that's kind of how it was for me when I switched to what I'm doing now is I had to kind of go in and pretty much an entry level position. And then I've luckily had the opportunity to work up from
Yeah.
there. And now I make as far as like, I mean, in terms of money and stuff, I make way more doing this than I ever did in retail.
Yeah.
But I kind of, you just had to sort of grind for about a year or
Yeah.
two before you could get to that point again.
Well, and I think that's what I'm thinking about doing is maybe starting over in a different field, different industry, because really the retail industry has a pretty sharp ceiling at certain levels, and I've already done that. So it's like I know where that leads. So I got to figure out if I want to, but I can't, I literally couldn't afford my apartment if I go
Mm-hmm.
to a lower wage job. I'm like right at the precipice of like barely being able to afford it. So it's like, do I need to move out? I really don't like the idea of getting a roommate. This place is not really worth necessarily staying in anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that nice of an apartment. So yeah, it's like, do I want to move? Do I want to move in with somebody? Do I want to take a full break and just say fuck it and get the fuck out of here? I don't know. I'm uh I'm definitely not excited to like just do the same shit at work. I just got my raise, my yearly raise, and it's like, who gives a fuck? That's like nothing. And I can't even, there's no negotiating. There's no being like, hey, I really put in this effort. Shouldn't I get like, maybe I could get a little bit more? What are
Mm-hmm.
they gonna, they don't give a fuck. They're not interested in that.
Is
They're
it
not,
just like a 3% increase? That's how most
it's
places are. I feel
roughly
like
that. It was
usually,
a little
yeah.
bit more than that because I got um, a better score than like the minimum. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have like, exceeds expectations, meets expectations and stuff. So I got a slightly bigger raise, but it doesn't do much. It doesn't change much. It doesn't make me go, well, let's do another year of
Mm-hmm.
this. It's just there's no like we get little bonuses here and there, but it's pittance. And it doesn't excite me to go do that again. And it
Yeah.
doesn't excite me to be a store manager where you make, 15 grand more a year. And it's totally like gonna change your ability to pay bills. But it's also a huge amount of increased responsibility and stress and expectations and never enough and all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know how it goes, and I'm literally like on Indeed, like, oh, what kind of store manager jobs are out there? And then it makes me want to go, like, why am I doing that? It's stupid. And I'm being a downer around people, and I gotta stop doing that. It's making me bitter.
Yeah, it's very well, it's good that you recognize that though, because it's an easy trap to
Yeah,
get caught up in. It's that
yeah.
circular negativity.
And I think that's what caused all this, like, why I'm stressed out is causing my back and my neck and my
Oh yeah.
wait, that's like a song, isn't it? My neck, my back, my pussy, and my
Mm-hmm.
crack. That's
Yep.
why all of those things are I think that's why like I'm just tense. I'm worried about all of it too much. And it's not getting me anywhere. So maybe I need to go back to school. I don't know. There's some things that I could probably go back and maybe just totally do differently. Get a certification in, sign language or something, and just do
Mm-hmm.
that for a while. I don't know. It seems like that might be what I need to do, but I need to figure it out. But I'm
Well,
not
it's
very
never too late.
fast.
Never too late to start something new.
I don't think so. I think it isn't. And I
No,
think
I don't think so.
I need to take that seriously. I need to really be like, these people don't deserve my time any more than anybody else. So why shouldn't I get, something out of it
Mm-hmm.
more than just a steady paycheck, which
It's a
is
tough
good.
it's a tough thing to find though. Like when you're like, okay, what do I want to do? Because there's
Yeah.
so many things out there to do, and then there's things that you think that you'd like doing, and you start doing it, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is not good. And then there's things that you wouldn't expect to enjoy that you really
Yeah.
like. Because I remember when I finally hit that point where I was like, I'm done with retail, I can't do this anymore. I was looking at like legal secretary jobs. It's like
I
random, like
know.
weird
I've
things
looked at
that
that too.
I've never really thought about, but I'm like, I think I remember just kind of Googling like what are some good like entry level jobs in just different fields. Like, and then I was just sort of looking at these different options because I was like, there's
Yeah.
probably
I
things out there that I've just never even considered because
was
it's
even thinking
not,
like bank
yeah.
teller. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
it's just counting money. I've done that for years. I know how to
Hmm.
count money.
Yeah.
Um, I guess you could get robbed there, but that doesn't really happen
Yeah.
anymore.
I feel like the chances of that
They don't even
happening
have
are,
that much. Yeah.
yeah.
It's just so funny. Like, but I think that the ceiling there is so much higher. I mean, the banking industry has so much money that like if you work there long enough, you're going to get raises, and you might start off at like 15 an hour, but that's not that far off where I am now. It's like,
Yeah. Well, and typically you can move up fairly quick if you have a lot of
yeah,
experience.
I'm
And
sure like if I did a teller job for like a year, I could probably become a branch manager. But then I can imagine the pressure a branch manager of a bank has. Like you got to get credit card signups, you got to get like, you probably can't, I don't know. I don't even know what else,
yeah.
but there's going to be like major expectation, new savings accounts that you get every year. Uh, dogs barking in the background, they're
Yeah,
12%
I think
increase.
everybody left. Hold on one
Oh
second. I'm
yeah.
gonna just open
Yeah,
this
no
door.
problem.
They're
It's
probably
no big
throwing
deal.
a fit because I'm the only one here.
Probably at the door.
Hey, quit barking. Silence your
They
mouth hole. Yeah, they were just both camping outside the
were at the
office
door
door.
like, hey,
Just throwing a
just so
fit.
you know, we're all alone and it's looking unfair.
Well, everybody
Not
was
into
here
it.
earlier, but I think Vanessa left to go get her vaccine, so
Oh wow.
they're just throwing a fit.
Speaking of which,
Mhm.
noise. Cool. Well, that's
Um,
my sob story for the evening, for the day. Anything else to add on this front? New Year's resolutions that are starting in April?
starting in April. No, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any I remember I know you'd mentioned, is there like any games or anything coming up that you're excited about? Like some kind of fun stuff that you're looking forward to?
Um, there's always a few games that I'm excited about. The only game I'm really playing right now is Dark Souls.
Which one?
Dark
3?
Souls 3, yeah.
Hmm.
Just my a couple of friends got it, and we've been playing some co-op, and so I decided to start a couple new characters, and I'm kind of using the characters just for co-op to help them make their lives a lot easier because that game's way easier with a friend.
Well, and
Um,
somebody like you who's
not,
played that game, how
yeah,
many fucking times you
I
like know
don't know.
everything about that game? Must be
I'm
fair.
very I have robotic about it at this point. I just fucking kind of get through it pretty efficiently nowadays. I know all the routes for the most part. Um, so that's what I've been playing, but there are some games coming out that I'm interested in. Um, let's see here.
I'm excited about like May's a pretty good month. There's that Mass Effect Legendary
Yeah,
edition's coming out. That's like a fully remastered like the trilogy, and
the
they
good ones.
yeah, I've heard that they have retooled the first Mass Effect considerably to kind of make it more like more contemporary
Yeah, I've
to
heard
fit
that
in
too.
line with the other two. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to revisit that. And then Resident Evil 8 comes out in May also, which looks
Hmm.
great. Um,
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about some games that aren't coming out necessarily super soon, like Elden Ring,
mhm,
Far Cry 6, Dying Light 2, Battlefield 6, and Horizon Forbidden West. Those are all kind of uh, franchises that I know really well that I've
mhm,
always liked in the past. I think most of those are going to be PS5 though. So like Battlefield's definitely PS5. Elden Ring's probably going to be on PS5, might be on PS4 as well.
mhm.
So I got to
Well,
decide if I want to get one.
I know Horizon Forbidden West will be on the
Yeah.
PS4 as well.
Oh,
They
really?
already said, yeah, they said that it'll be
Nice.
on both. So,
Yeah.
um,
I don't really want
yeah,
to
and
spend the money yet, but
those new consoles are so hard to get a hold of because
yeah.
the AMD who makes the chipsets for it,
Hmm.
like the chipsets they use are so widespreadly used across the board, like for computers, for cars, and like there's a like literally a crisis
I've
shortage of
heard,
them
yeah.
right now.
I have
And
a buddy who's
so
been waiting to build
mhm,
to upgrade his card and he can't get it.
unless you want to pay like scalper prices, like
Yeah.
you can definitely buy like a PS5 or like a new Xbox Series X
Like a
anytime
grand
you
or
want
something.
if you go to eBay. I like to go on eBay and just look and see where
Oh
they're
yeah.
at because at one point they were pushing like 12 to
Wow.
$1,500, which is crazy. Now they're down to about 800 because I think they're slowly kind of becoming more available over
Yeah.
time as people are
The
getting them.
secondary market isn't as good.
But yeah, I mean, luckily there's no, as far as like the PS5, I think the only game you're missing out on that you would love would be that Demon Souls
Yeah,
remake.
Demon
I mean,
Souls.
other than that, everything else you can play on the PS4. It just runs better and faster on the PS5, obviously, if you
Yeah.
play it there. But I mean, in which Demon Souls was a ton of fun. But that's my favorite Souls game of all of them, probably
Oh
just because
wow.
it was the first one, and so it's the one
Yeah.
I have the fondest memories of. It's the only one that I've really dedicated like tons of time to for some reason.
Hmm. Demon
And the
Souls. Yeah, weird.
and the first Dark Souls, I put so much time into that
Oh
game. But
wow.
then like Dark Souls 2 and 3, I just played through each of them like once and
Hmm.
I was done. Same with Bloodborne, I played through it once.
Yeah.
Sekiro just beat my ass. I couldn't play that
Yeah.
game. It was too way, it was just a different, it required a different skill set that I just don't
Yeah.
have. And I didn't have the patience to build to play it. So I think I played like 10, 12 hours of Sekiro and it was a fucking cool game. I just
Yeah.
like
Totally different game.
having to learn to parry everything and
Yeah.
like the fact
Yeah.
that you couldn't create like a build for a character and
Yeah.
stuff, like you had to play it the way they want you to play
It's
it. And
very
that was
limiting compared to the
mhm,
other games. Like you're this one character
yeah.
and you have this one sword and you're going to do the same thing over and over and over. It just got too repetitive for me and I didn't see the end goal being much different than the starting goal.
Hmm.
Like you're leveling up, but you're really just leveling up these abilities and your character doesn't really get like stronger and more badass. You're still just doing the same, hit the move at the right time and then fuck that up. And then and then I don't know. I got kind of the same vibe from Sekiro.
Yeah.
It just
It's
kind of lost my interest not far into it.
Yeah, it's one of those games I want to go back to at some point and just be like, maybe if I'm in a different headspace and try it
Yeah.
again, maybe it'll jive with me more. Because like it was a beautiful game. I love and
Yeah.
it was one of those games where I know it's like a good game. It just was
It is a good
not
game, yeah.
jiving for me at all, like for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Souls games and Bloodborne is like the freedom that you have to like build a character that fits your
Yeah.
play style, so you kind of can modulate it towards making it easier for yourself. And there's something cool about like the Souls games. When you're first going through an area, you're usually getting your ass beat, but then you can
Yeah.
revisit when you revisit the area like later on and you're stronger. It's like suddenly way easier. So there's
Yeah.
kind of like
You
this
can see
sense
that.
of achievement that you
Hmm.
feel when you go back. Um,
Yeah, I think the variety, because Dark Souls 3 has the most amount of stuff, the most amount of outfits, the most amount of weapons, the most variety in types of characters you can make. And that's why I like it, because I can play it over and over again with different
mhm,
character types. And it's just the world is huge and it has it's got a lot of the benefits of like Dark Souls 2's linear aspects, but with Dark Souls 1's and Bloodborne's kind of looping aspects where you end up in the same areas a lot of the time. I think it's
mhm,
just they really, really did a good job with it. I'm thinking Elden Ring is going to take everything that they've learned and just make another really, really good game. And they're taking a lot of more time with it. But a lot of their like departure games, like Sekiro is just, I think that's just an experiment. I don't think that's a
mhm.
fully fledged game at all. I think it was just them playing with a lot of new ideas that are going to end up in like a more open world kind of aspects and stuff like that. Because Elden Ring is supposed to be a lot more open.
Yeah, it has
Um,
like a horseback riding and
yeah,
everything. It's like
that's
a
super
much bigger
new.
world. Yeah.
But they take a risk when they do that kind of stuff because the formula for Dark Souls and Bloodborne is pretty straightforward. I guess Bloodborne took a pretty big risk, but they paid off in a lot of different ways.
It'd be nice
Um,
to see them make a game that necessarily doesn't follow the same, like not so much like the difficulty, but just I'm not excited to think of another game where it's designed around this like looping pattern where you light a bonfire and then you make it as far as you can and then
mhm,
you die and then inevitably go back.
yeah.
But
I think it
you've
open
learned
world, like they
things.
do like almost a completely open world, but you kind of have to have fast travel in stuff nowadays
Hmm.
because the game's so big.
Well, could you
So I
imagine
don't,
playing like an open world Dark Souls where you like let's say you start a bonfire and then you're traversing this huge vast landscape and then you
yeah,
fucking die like 20 minutes later somewhere and then you go all the way back and you're like, cool, now I gotta
yeah,
run
that'd be
across this
tough.
giant landscape
Well,
again.
they'd have to figure that out, but they also have to figure out like progression because the whole point of that game, making you go into the progress into the lane that they need, is because you're not powerful enough to fight those people.
Hmm.
So you have to find, if it was open world, you'd have to create a different system of leveling, or at least make it story driven so that you're expected to go in this certain progression so that you can handle fighting the other ones.
Yeah.
But they could do it. I mean, there's other stuff that's why a lot of open world games are more about abilities, because you're kind of always capable of getting through it. No matter where you're at in the game, you can kind of make your way, but as you get new abilities as opposed to leveling up, I'm sure they'll figure it out. It'll
Yeah.
be they'll nail it at some point. Elden Ring might not be the perfect one because it's still a new thing, but I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
see. But yeah, there's definitely some games. I definitely am not gaming a ton. I've been playing more because we've been getting into Dark Souls a little bit more, and the second I'm like kind of addicted to that. When I start playing it, I like go, oh, I'm fucking do all the stuff. And I think about it, but I've been trying to just play guitar, every day for at least roughly an hour or so. So that's
Mhm.
something that's kind of uh, more of a, I don't know. I think there's a little bit more skill involved, a little bit more. You have to learn quite a lot to play music and to get, you know, to do something that's somewhat interesting as opposed to these very basic things in guitar. So that's been a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
fun.
video games are always kind of like, I mean, I probably play video games almost every day, but it's like the last thing I do in the day. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, I gotta get some writing done. I gotta do
entertainment.
these, it's like if I can get through all of my chores and other things to do, then it's like, okay, cool. Now I can fucking chill out
Yeah.
for a few hours and play some stuff. Because so like I've always been a big Sony fan. Like PlayStation's always been my go-to brand as I've been growing up. But man, Xbox has like pulled me in so much
Hmm.
with like Game Pass,
Mm.
and they have the xCloud streaming. It's like such a, and they have like backwards compatibility all the way back to the original Xbox for
Ooh.
a bunch of games. And so it's become like this whole ecosystem that like is really cool. Like I when people ask me like which console to get, like I most of the time I'm like, you should just get a fucking Series X or a Series S with Game Pass, you're set. Like
Mm.
you pay $15 a month and you
All the
literally have
games.
access to just, probably I think they're up to like 300 or 400 games now. It's basically Netflix for games.
Yeah.
Um, and then you also get the xCloud streaming with that. And so like this morning, I was just laying in bed streaming Xbox games to my phone, just playing. I have this, it's called a Razer Kishi controller.
Hmm.
It like expands over on the sides of your phone. And so it almost looks like a
Oh yeah.
Switch in
Hmm.
a way, like when you're playing a Switch in handheld. So I just put that on my phone and I'm just like laying there playing it. And it's like as long as you have a decent internet connection, it streams games like almost flawlessly. It's fucking impressive.
Nice.
It's really impressive technology. So it's just
Hmm.
like now I have that. So, even if I'm not home, if I take a trip somewhere, as long as I can connect to Wi-Fi, you can fucking stream all these different games. Um,
Wow.
and it gives you the chance to kind of try games out before you spend the time downloading them onto your console. Like,
Oh
because you
yeah.
can just hop on and just like, oh, I'll stream this for a little bit and see if it's something I even give a shit about playing, instead of downloading, waiting for it to download and then firing it up.
That does that give you access to Dark Souls 3 on your phone?
I don't know. I'd have to check
That'd be
and
fucking
see.
crazy. If I could
They've
play
been
Dark Souls 3 outside of my house, it would be a real problem.
I don't know. They have because they have to enable the games to be used. It's
Yeah,
it's still like in a
it's
beta
different.
phase.
Yeah.
So like every month they're adding more games to
Yeah.
it. But
Hmm.
I was playing that new game Outriders because it hit Game
Yeah.
Pass when it came out. Like it was like a day one Game Pass game, which was nuts. And I was like playing Outriders on my phone and it fucking worked really well.
Hmm.
Um, I think like a game like Dark Souls might be a little tricky to play on it because sometimes there's a little bit of like input lag. Like how Wi-Fi sort of ebbs and flows while you're
Yeah.
using it. Like it definitely works. I think it works best with kind of like slower based
Hmm.
games. But
Hmm.
something like Dark Souls might be a little tricky where
Because you,
it like requires very precise inputs
yeah,
usually. But even something like Outriders works pretty well because it's just a third person RPG cover shooter. So it's like,
sure.
even if it kind of lags out for a second, it doesn't kill you like it would in
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
Souls. If it
Yeah.
lags out, it would probably be
Yeah.
the end of you. Um, but no,
Nice.
it's really fucking cool. And so I've definitely been playing much more Xbox than
Yeah.
anything. Plus, with Game Pass, you just get to try a bunch of games that you didn't maybe want to spend money on. I've been playing this game called
Yeah.
like Narita Boy. It's like a side-scrolling kind of like synth 80s sort of action game, which when I first looked at it, I was like, meh, whatever. But then when
Mhm.
it went on Game Pass, I was like, well, I'll check it out. So it was like a game I was streaming on my phone earlier, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
Um,
And you wouldn't have tried it otherwise because you
yeah,
got to
because
spend that money and you're stuck with it.
yeah, it's like I think it's like a $15 or $20 game, which isn't
Yeah.
a ton of money, but it's like I don't really want to gamble.
Yeah.
If I don't, especially if I don't like
Sure.
it, then it's just a waste. So it's something to
Yeah.
look into for, especially for you, like maybe when you're looking at getting a new
Well,
console, it
I've
might
been
be worth considering.
I loved all the Halo games, and I
Mhm.
for some reason I keep getting this weird bug that I want to play some Halo. It's
Well, and
super weird.
they have the Halo Master Chief
I know,
Collection, which
I
is
know,
literally all the Halo games,
I
and they
know.
run like in 4K now.
Well, and
They
there's
like
a new one coming out, Halo Infinite, and
yeah.
I for some reason I feel like I want to give all those games another try. I just want to go through the stories, and Halo 1 was like the game that like blew my mind a
Mhm.
long time ago, and then Halo 2, for multiplayer was the first competitive multiplayer I ever did, and uh I for some reason it just like when I'm thinking of like games to play, I'm not thinking of like so many new games. I'm thinking like, oh, I just want to play some stuff that I used to like, even though
Mhm.
it might not hold up. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, see,
But
and that's the beauty is, I mean, if it's like all you see in your case, if that's really what you were interested in, you literally just buy an Xbox and then subscribe to Game Pass, and you would get all those games. Because like this, since they're all Microsoft owned games, they put
yeah,
all their first party
proprietary,
games.
yeah.
Yep, they put them on there day and date, and then they just bought Bethesda. So when the next Fallout comes out or the next Elder Scrolls, like that'll
Oh,
be
they
on Game
bought
Pass day one.
Bethesda? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
they own all of Bethesda. So
Oh no.
all those games are going to be like Xbox exclusive
Oh
games, and they're
shit.
going to be on Game Pass day one. So
Yeah.
it's like
Makes sense.
it's just
Just have to
nuts.
have it. Yeah.
Like
Well, and
they've
they got PC land too, so
mhm.
it's integrated with PC and phones. So Microsoft is thinking
Dude,
big.
they're thinking in the future. Like
Yeah.
Sony is very much, as much as I love Sony and PlayStation, it's very trapped in like this old mindset of just console generations. Whereas Microsoft's built this ecosystem
Yeah.
where yeah, it's like
Well,
you subscribe
Microsoft
to this
is
Surface
yeah.
and
They started like that. They
mhm.
started with computers and then they made consoles and Sony didn't have computers. So
Well, and
it's like
they're the
they
market
had
shares.
TVs,
Like
you know.
Microsoft is like a $1 or $2 trillion
Oh,
company,
it's
and then
so much bigger.
Sony is like $78 billion. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, they're
their
not the
market
same at
cap is
all.
just on a completely
So
different
for
level.
gaming, it's like they just have this massive
Hmm.
advantage to
Well,
get in there.
they paid $7.5 billion to buy Bethesda, and now they own
Can you
all.
imagine that?
And Bethesda owned like 13 studios.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now they own all 13 studios, and they bought like a dozen
Just a
studios the year
conglomerate.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're basically like Phil Spencer, who's the head of Xbox. His whole goal is just building up the value of Game Pass. Like I think eventually you won't even have an
Yeah,
Xbox
it'll just all
console.
be streaming.
It'll just
Yeah.
be you'll just probably buy like a little dongle or have an app on your smart TV, and it'll
Yeah.
just be Xbox
Yeah.
app, and you'll
Whatever
just be
you
able
want to
to
do. Yeah.
stream.
You
Yep.
just have whatever controllers you want to use. I think that's
Hmm.
the future for sure. And I
Hmm.
think that once the infrastructure for the internet becomes like, 10x what it is now, you'll have no issues with any of it.
Yeah.
Just it won't matter.
I mean, we're already, and the beauty of like the xCloud streaming is it's using Microsoft servers, and they're a huge tech company, so they obviously probably have some of the
Yeah.
best servers.
Yep.
And so, I mean, even with our internet that we have now, which is pretty solid internet, like I can
Yeah.
stream games pretty, like not flawlessly, but pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine, another 10 years down the road as the
Just
infrastructure
all that.
improves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and
going to
and
be.
then, video is all streaming now. It's all about like instant, you know, access, instant everything,
Mhm.
like you don't have like it's almost like how you had television was kind of like live.
Mhm.
Everything is becoming both live and recorded. It's like everything is either whatever way you want it. You want it live or you want it recorded. You want it a mixture of both. You want to, like DVRs came along and everyone's like, oh my God, you can fucking record stuff and watch it later. Now they figured out a way to get both the best of both worlds. You got Twitch with live, but you also have everything recorded at the same time, and you can do anything at any point. You can
Yep.
just it's just whatever you want. You can interact with somebody now. You can interact with them later. You can, it's fucking it's not, it's like the evolution of television was um just to figure out a way to record all of it and
Mhm.
have it exist at the same time.
Yeah.
That's like, I thought we were going to get rid of advertising with YouTube for so long, and then now it's just
Well,
um
if you subscribe to the YouTube Premium, doesn't it get rid of the? This is like $10 a month or
yeah, it
something, and it
does. I
gets rid of
had
the
it
ads.
forever, and I was using it, and then we got rid of it, and I realized how many ads there were, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my
I had to do
life.
that with
This is fucking
Hulu
horrible.
because
Yeah,
Hulu, like if
Hulu's
you
ads are
pay,
horrible.
yeah, if you pay for this like the basic Hulu, and
Yeah,
what the problem with the Hulu ads is they're frequent,
yeah, they're
and
the same
it's
ad.
the same
Yeah,
four
it's
ads repeatedly.
terrible. Yeah,
And so we were I was like binge watching a show that was only
yeah,
on Hulu.
just
And I
ruins
was
it.
like, and literally, I think after 3 episodes, I went into our Hulu
Just
account and
spent the
upgraded to
money.
Plus.
Yeah,
And Vanessa's
yeah.
like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, because I can't fucking watch this commercials
I
again. I'm gonna
know.
lose my
It's
mind.
literally the same like 30-second freaking dumb ad.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. The YouTube ads are ridiculous. It's just especially if you watch what I'm watching, obviously, it's like these ads for get rich quick schemes constantly, and they're all like, oh, you want to fucking have a big house and fast cars and diamond rings, and I'm just like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. You're not a genius. Shut up. You're not going to change my life.
Yeah.
Click the fuck off. i'm
Yep.
i'm not going to buy into your shit. It's
Yet.
like,
I'm not desperate enough yet. I'm getting there though.
it's not new. It's these multi-level marketing, or get rich quick schemes online, or these advertising, set up a website and then put a banner ad up, and spend the rest of your life fucking dealing with algorithms. Like, it definitely works for some people, but
Hmm.
you like, it's not this like passive income, and now you just click a button and you're making millions of dollars. Like, if everybody's doing that, if that worked like that, everybody'd do it, and the whole economy would crash. you're it's not accurate.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be a sucker though. Always.
Yeah, and it does work for people who want to work it, but I'm not trying to make you $1 million. I
I'm just trying to get by.
I'm just trying to fucking take photos and play guitar and play video games.
There we go. It's living the dream right there.
Trying. That's I think the photography is the one thing that I like. Maybe there's something there where I can
Hmm.
sell my prints or something and make some money doing that. Maybe. I don't know.
One of those things I think with like with any kind of artistic or creative field, there's just so many millions of people trying to do it all the
Yeah,
time. I mean,
it's
that's
not
kind of why
unique.
I just gave up the idea of ever becoming like a fucking New York Times bestselling author because it's just that the probabilities is so fucking astronomically low because there's just millions of people writing a book right now. And so it's
Yeah,
like
but
you just kind of you just do it for the love of it.
I
And
think you should put more effort into advertising, because I think your work is good enough. You have enough experience, and some of your books I think are better than some of those fucking books out there.
mhm.
So I think you somehow at some point, maybe try to get a
Well,
publicist again. But
yeah, I've
I don't
thought
know,
about
man.
it
I
and
think
I've tried advertising. It's the advertising angle is tough because it's fucking expensive. Because I was looking at
I
like
know, dude.
running
I
different
know.
ads through
I know. Google
Facebook
AdWords.
and
I did
Amazon
AdWords.
and hmm
We did AdWords
and
with Fractal Focus for like a year. We spent tons of money on it, but it
yeah.
got people to the website.
Hmm.
Whether they got, it got a job from it is different, but like, Facebook ads are crazy and expensive, and the whole thing, if you really want to do it, you got to spend a bunch of money.
Hmm.
But it might steamroll into more, but
Yeah.
you never know. Just depends. Advertising is that's the world now. If you
Oh
want to
yeah.
be independent, you have to get your face out there. I've been thinking about that and feeling really bad about my like Instagram channel and stuff like that. Like, I feel like the photography that I'm doing uh is, to me, I think, fairly like comparable to some of these really big accounts. And I'm like, why am I not getting new followers? And it's because I'm not networking and advertising in the same way that they are. And they're putting more effort into it as a type of career type job, and they're finding the right people and getting the right connections and stuff like that. And That's a whole thing. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Or my stuff isn't that good, so nobody cares to share it. But I don't think that's how it works. I don't think it's organic stuff. I think is more difficult every day as new accounts get created.
Mm-hmm.
Just people aren't going out of their way to share your shit.
Yeah, that's really what I think it's less about the quality of your work and just more about who you know and the networking and just getting as many eyes
The
on it as
publicity and the
possible. Yeah.
advertising and the going out and telling people and proselytizing yourself and all that stuff,
Yeah.
which is how it works. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
hating on it.
No, it's just how it is. And for me, it's like that's the side of as far as like the writing business, like that's the side of it that I hate
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most. You know what I mean? Like
Most people do.
I wish I could just I just want to write my stories. I just want to tell the stories. And that's why, you got to get an agent who can do the other side of the business for you.
Yep.
So,
You got to get
but
somebody who'll do
but
it.
what's tricky is like, when I finish this last Western Sins trilogy book, I can't really market that book because it's the end of a trilogy. So
Well, you'd
it's
start
like,
with the other one and
yeah, you'd
then
have to
you'd
go back and
push them. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like I'll have to kind of wait till I start my next project that's like the beginning of something or a standalone.
Or just do the world carried on.
Well, so the tricky thing is since I like all these books are self-published, agents won't even touch them unless they've sold like
Oh, I
10.
know what you mean. You're
Yeah.
talking about like to get it published.
Well, yeah, because like there was an agent I was speaking with who was interested in Hell Came with Her, but she said that there wasn't anything that like she wouldn't really be able to do anything with it
Because they
because
can't
it
make
was already
money off it.
self-published.
Yeah, they can't
And
change the
so
copyright on it.
and I was like, I can take this. So I mean, I hold the rights. I can just take it down. And she's like, well, really, what they do is the only way they'll do something with a self-published book is um, if there's like a good sales history. She's like, if the book has sold like 10,000 copies, then
Yeah,
they know that there's a big interest for it. So they would be willing to publish it
yeah,
again, basically under a big label. And I'm like, if I sold 10,000 fucking copies of my book, I wouldn't need you guys.
yeah.
Because
Well, that's the problem of putting it on ahead of time is that
yeah.
they now they can test it. And why would
Mm-hmm.
they do anything if they didn't test it
Yeah.
first? But when they do a normal book, they have an editor and an agent, and then they put money behind it, and it's a totally different thing. And they're like, we're we're taking a risk because we don't know if people like it, but we're going to put so much money into finding out
Mm-hmm.
that most likely they're going to buy it anyway because we're the big publisher and they're going to our recommendation is going to matter. Whereas if it's already self-published, they're like, well, now I can tell that nobody likes it.
Yeah.
Like we already know that. So, but the problem is you don't know that nobody likes it. There's no advertising involved, and so
Yeah.
really what you've found is that the people who bought it probably liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume if they had any idea what they were buying when it came to um, the books. I mean, I like them, so fuck them.
Well, and I've over the years I've built up the confidence. Like I feel like I'm a good writer.
Yeah,
Maybe not amazing, or I'm definitely not the best, but like I'm good at it. Like I know
yeah,
what I'm doing and I have confidence in my ability. So it's not so much that I doubt like the quality of my stories. It's just more knowing that unless I really put
yeah,
in tons of effort in, like you said, for advertising and networking and trying to get all these things going, like
yeah,
they're kind of always going to be stagnant in where they're at, which there's like a small base of people, like a couple, probably maybe around 200 people or so that will buy most of the books that I put out. And I think it's like my
it's
own
not
little
bad.
niche fan base that's kind of
Yeah,
that what's cool is when it's like sometimes there's just people that I don't even know. They just happen to stumble across the book on Amazon or something because
yeah,
it popped up under other people bought this when they bought this item
yeah.
kind of thing.
Well,
And
and with
so,
time that can grow, and that's
yeah.
organic reach. That's just people finding it
Hmm.
and people telling random people to try it out.
Yeah.
It just takes forever.
Well, when I did Anathema, the cover artist is a lady that I work with. And so when she did the painting for the cover art for me, like that kind of gave it some widespread reach too, because she was at like I was using it, she was using it as an opportunity to advertise for artwork. I
Yeah.
was using it as an
That's
opportunity
the
to advertise.
collaboration type stuff.
And so there was like people from her circle, like her art circle, that were suddenly drawn into the book
Yeah.
because they were fascinated by the cover art. And so it
Yeah.
like that was like a cool like collaboration that I think got me some new readers because it just was a different group of people that didn't know me, that by association. And I've had people who I actually did a run of prints for that cover,
Hmm.
and I was giving those out to people and sold some, and
Yeah.
it was kind of cool, like because people just liked the cover art and they thought it was really cool, and like her and I signed the cover art. I actually have one framed in my office
Nice.
that was signed by her.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's a
Mm-hmm.
foot in the door,
Mm-hmm.
it's an aspect of interest, there has to be a hook of some sort that gets them to go,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, and
Yeah.
there's just so much competing for people's
Yeah,
attention
so
all
much
the
out there
time, like
for sure.
people are watching fucking TV shows on one of 15 different streaming
Yeah.
platforms these
I go from
days.
like
And
Hulu
yeah,
to YouTube to
yeah.
Netflix and
It
just
kills me how
constantly
many there are now.
podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's so
just
much.
we just live in this world where entertainment just is fucking coming at us
Yeah.
nonstop in droves. And so,
It's America, dude.
yeah.
I don't think it's like that everywhere. I think it is in that like a lot of places have all those networks, but I think America, it's like everybody's an entertainer of some sort. Everybody's,
Well, that's
running
just,
around doing their fucking you know,
well, we're not
selfies and
all
shit.
busy trying to survive by farming anymore.
Yeah.
Our technology's pushed us to this point where people just have the time to do other
Yeah.
random shit now.
Yep. They do their 9 to 5 and then they go do their other shit.
Well, and
Um
that's the stuff that keeps us sane. I mean, people usually when people are like start falling into some depression, it's because they just aren't doing like there's no hobbies. It's because they hate what they do and then they're not doing anything in their free time, so they're just kind of miserable.
or they're not taking care of themselves.
That too.
Exercise is important.
Mhm.
Um So let's do some recommendations. What do you recommend that people
Oh,
check out? Speaking of
ooh,
entertainment, we've mentioned a
ooh.
million things
I
already, but
know.
we have not recommended them.
Um, oh gosh, I'm trying to think if actually I do have a recommendation that I wanted to bring up last week. And this is a recommendation not only for people generally, but for you also, if you are
Oh,
just because you and I share sort of love for Western stuff.
yes.
So there's that new Tom Hanks movie that came out late last year called News of the World. And
Okay.
I read the book. It's by Paulette Giles. The book, fucking wonderful, wonderful story. And so, because I saw the trailers for the movie and I was like, ooh, that looks cool. Like I'm always down for a Western. And then I realized it was based off of a book. And so I typically am one of those people that I like to go read the book first and then I'll go watch the movie. Um, and so that's what I did. And the book's not very long. It's like maybe 250 pages. She's got an excellent writing style that's very similar to like Cormac McCarthy,
Hmm.
and that it's very pared down. In News of the World in particular, she doesn't use quotation marks and stuff when characters are speaking. It just all flows.
Hmm.
And it makes sense. It works really well. Beautifully written story. I mean, it's just about an old retired general. He's like in his 70s and he makes a living traveling around reading the news in different towns.
Hmm.
So he just collects papers from all over with stories from all over the world, highlights them, and then he just reads them, and people just drop some dimes in a bucket for him, and that's kind of what he does. He just travels around doing that. Well, he basically has this young girl. I think she's 10, if I remember correctly. She was taken by a tribe of Kiowa Indians that attacked her family and basically kidnapped her after killing her family. And she's basically lived with this tribe for 4 years to the point where she's basically like a native child at this point. She doesn't remember much of her own language. Like she came from a German family. And so she speaks Kiowa. She dresses like them. She's kind of completely embedded in that culture. And the tribe she's traveling with, I'm trying to remember what happens, but I think that the family that she was with, the tribal family, gets attacked, and then she gets taken by these white people, and now they're trying to get her back to her actual family, like her German family. And
Hmm.
so he basically gets tasked with taking her across, like it's like a 500-mile ride journey to get her back to her German family. And it's a very just like simple story about the relationship and bond that they build between the two of them as they're traveling together. And it's just kind of like um, it's just a really well written Western that's kind of like a nice, heartwarming story. It was one of those stories where I was, you spend a lot of time, you're like, oh God, what horrible thing's going to happen. And it was like a night, it was just a night. I mean, there's some shit that goes down obviously throughout the story, but like at the end of the day, it's just like a nice, heartwarming Western. And the movie with Tom Hanks is great too. Very faithful adaptation. Like it changes some things around, but nothing so major that like you're like, oh, the book's way better, kind of thing. But
Nice.
I totally recommend it. Like if you're looking for a new book to read, or if you just want to watch the movie, like either
Where do you
way.
think the movie is available?
Um, I just rented it
Mm.
through Amazon. I think it was like
Oh, okay.
$6 or something to rent. I don't think it's on any streaming platforms yet.
Okay.
Um, so I'm sure it will be obviously at some point between
On
one of
demand.
the fucking dozen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's the movie's
I
really
might
good.
just get the book.
Yeah, the book is, I think you'd enjoy the book. It's a fairly quick read too. I think I read it in about a week, and it's really well written. Um, I immediately went and bought one of her other books. She's like an older woman. I think she's in her 70s herself. And her writing career kind of started more recently, I think in the last 10 years. She was more of she started her writing career as a poet, and
Oh,
then
wow.
has written some novels. And so I feel like that kind of elevates her writing, and that when you're sort of trained to write a specific way, and then you go to novel writing, it kind of that the skills that you built in your former writing sort of bleeds over into like your novel writing. For
Sure.
me, like when I start my writing really started, like I wrote a lot of poetry, but I also did playwriting when I was in high school. And I even know that when I'm writing books, I focus less on the environment and things, and I focus much more on dialogue. And I think that's just because when I started writing, I wrote plays where like literally dialogue is carrying and telling the whole story for the most part. And so kind of similarly with her, I think her starts as a poet kind of lend some extra beauty and artistry to her writing that you don't typically see.
Yeah, I'm checking that out. I'm gonna put that on my list on Amazon to get that book. I just finished Deadwood,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of westerns. Amazing, really well done. Just not a typical western story.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the characters, it's more about the relationships. It's not about like gunfights and stuff like that. It's like a day, like a real like normal stuff going on with
Mm-hmm.
all this crazy characters and stuff that do interesting things. But I was pretty impressed that it was not action packed, and yet it was still very good. um and then I
Uh,
just started reading a book called The Terminal List, which is about like a military guy. It's like an action thriller
mm-hmm.
kind of a book about you know they 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 tried to kill him and they couldn't because he's so badass, and now he's on the rampage to get him back. Just like real straightforward writing, like nothing poetic about it at all.
Sometimes those books are fun to read though. Like I think that's why James Patterson became so popular. He just has a very simple, direct, like it's very easy to understand and very easy to read. Like I try not to harsh on books that are kind of written that way.
I think it's a great. I think that
Yeah.
both are really fun to read, especially if you read like Dune is like not straightforward in any
No,
sense at all.
so dry
There's
and
no sentence
dense.
that makes any sense. And so it's really good to go back and forth and read stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
different, because you get kind of stuck. It starts getting in your head. When I was reading Dune, the whole book, I was doing it a lot. Um, and it's like even just the way that he writes was getting in my head in the way that I think. And then now with Deadwood, totally different style, very plain, but the detailed, very detail oriented with the characterizations,
Mm-hmm.
like all the details about um, like what they like, really giving you a vivid picture of the character. And bringing it to life. And then this new one where it's like he had a gun and then he shot him, and it was like, okay, we'll just move through this very
Thanks.
quickly.
Yeah, right.
It's all very there. It's less, you know how they say like don't tell, show. And
Mm-hmm.
in writing that's pretty difficult because sometimes you have to tell and sometimes you
Yeah.
show through fairly straightforward writing. And
It's an
this
all tell
one's
book. It
this
just
one's
tells
like
you.
all just like oh, he had a job last week, now he's got this new job, instead of like, it's a little more like that.
Yeah.
Which is a good break from the rest. I like all that stuff. I don't mind as long as it's getting me somewhere. It's got that those story elements, and I can get behind a character. The writing, you know I've been more open to different types of writing
Mm-hmm.
as I keep reading more stuff. Um, like I think I went from Dune to reading your book, and it was like, what the fuck had just happened? Like, like Dune is just this insane writing, and then your writing is more like um, it's more understandable
Mm-hmm.
for a
That's what I hear from everybody.
it's not
Everybody's
like
like,
it's not
it's
like it's got a lot of really good descriptions and character pieces, but it also isn't trying to fuck with you
Mhm,
like some writing is
mhm.
always like trying to be smarter than you or something. I don't like that.
No, that's and that's what I like to do. I mean, I model my writing after like the kind of like the when you're reading like this the stuff you gravitate towards, and so
Yeah,
like Richard Matheson is probably like the biggest influence, and he has a very pared down writing style, which is how I prefer to write.
yeah.
I would rather keep things moving briskly with just enough detail to get the get the image painted in your head, but not give you too much. Like, I mean, you can fill it in for yourself after a certain point. So
Yeah, you just build it in your head. But that's not my recommendation. My
okay.
recommendation is Sean Carroll's Mindscape podcast.
Ooh.
It's Sean Carroll is a theoretical physicist, I believe, although his podcast is mostly not about physics. It's mostly psychological, philosophical, science. It's all like his way of thinking is like very idealistic to me. Like it represents a kind of intellectual that I wish I could be. And he goes over some really, really great topics. I think the last couple ones that I liked, he talked to an executive for an NBA team who is, high level analyst, talking about all the things that they think about when they scout and things like that, which is super interesting,
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly. And then he also talked to a philosopher about equality and the concepts around equality, the kind of thinking around like equality of opportunity, equality of outcome, and like the like the pragmatic issues you have to deal with when you're actually trying to do those things. Hierarchy she was talking about. And then the last one I listened to was from a neuroscientist who was um, talking about like time, how our bodies perceive and calculate time. And it was very weird. It was very unintuitive because like we're not like clocks, but we have a circadian rhythm, but that doesn't know how old you are. It just knows like what time of day it is. It's really weird. So I just find it super super engaging, and uh, it's kind of one of the places I get like interesting scientific
Mm-hmm.
knowledge from, in philosophy, which is interesting. He talks about free will. He talks about metaphysics and consciousness and stuff too. So he's super well rounded as a scientist and all that. So I recommend his podcast.
Yeah, I used to listen to the Sam Harris podcast a lot, but then he like kind of sort of locked it behind like that subscription where you have to
Yeah.
like subscribe through his website. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I got a little. I used to listen to Sam Harris constantly,
Mm,
and then it got much more political as Trump came into office, and I just didn't want to hear
yeah.
about it because I already knew like the kind of gist of the argument. But I love Sam Harris. I think he's one of the best logical thinkers out there.
Yeah.
He's an atheist, and I think every once in a while, just go back, see what he's up to, listen to him speak. He has a ton of stuff on YouTube. I he's hard to argue with. He's a very intelligent person.
Yeah, no, that's why I enjoy listening to his stuff. But I wish that he would have just done a subscription thing through like Patreon or something, because I already have like some podcasts that I subscribe to on
Yeah,
there, and I'm like, I just don't want
I
to
think
like
it's
have
just through his
another thing.
website.
Yeah, you have to go through
Yeah,
his website,
and then
and
he
I feel
made
like
a
it's fairly
app.
like in comparison to other
It
subscriptions. I feel
probably
like
is.
it's
He's
pretty pricey. So
very
I was
sought
just like,
after.
ugh.
He was doing it free, and then when I was listening to him, it was free, but you could pay. Um, and then he was doing this thing where, like, if you wrote him a letter and you said, like, genuinely, I can't afford it, he would give you a free subscription.
Mhm.
But I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I got, I always kind of like, I'll listen to a podcast for like a year or two or more. It's hard to keep, after a few years, I'm like, why am I still listening to this? Is it just because I like to hear that person's voice?
Yeah, I bounce off of some podcasts for like a few months because I'm like,
Yeah,
because sometimes if it's the same
it's
host, you
repetitive.
hear the same things from them a lot because
Yeah,
they talk to so many different
same
people,
stories over and over.
and so I'm just like, I'll do that sometimes. I'll just bounce off for a few months and then I'll hop back on and listen again for a while.
For sure.
Especially when you're listening to them weekly, just talking constantly.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. All right.
but oh, check that out, Mindscape. Hell
Mindscape.
yeah.
I'm the fact that everyone isn't like addicted to it is weirds me out, because I am. I think it's one of the best kind of scientific podcasts out there. I'm very impressed with the weird, just interesting people he has on there, just people you would never know existed. So
Well,
totes.
scientists typically aren't celebrities, so they're not going to be in the mainstream consciousness.
Yeah, it's cool. And he brings on people that kind of are on every different, not about politics, but like they will be on different sides of political spectrums and different ideas, but mostly scientific. So it doesn't get into politics very much, which is wonderful.
Well, politics are a hard thing to avoid because they're so embedded in every facet of our culture for the most part. So
it comes up, but it's not, it doesn't have to be the driving force.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think this is a long episode that we did. So what happens when we go 2 weeks without having a show?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'm glad it was fun. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I got to go take care of my dog. She's been howling at the door for like 20 minutes. I think she's just bored and wants to go out.
Yeah.
She's already been out twice this morning. I'm like, you don't need to go to the bathroom. You're just bored.
Yeah. Dogs just need, they want to play. They want to do stuff. Yeah. They don't want to be sitting around.
Now that
they don't have video
the
games.
weather's nice, like she wants to go out all the time.
Yeah.
It's funny because when it's like shitty out and raining, she is like, won't complain about not going out. But the moment the sun's out, she's like at the door all the time. So.
Yeah. Dogs are funny. I like dogs. You like dogs?
I like dogs. Dogs are very cool. You're my friends.
All right. Thank you very much for listening. Go to joesknowsblog.com. I just wrote my review of Deadwood, and I put up some new pictures, some birds, and a couple squirrels. I got a squirrel in a dandelion field, just like random ass, barely caught it. And then I got this tiny little baby squirrel with all these little yellow and white flowers around it. It just worked out super well. I'm hoping that it's like weirdly looks staged, but it wasn't at all. So anyway, those are the things that make me go, oh my God, I love photography. And I got a blue heron.
Whoa. Let me get something straight. You are not a squirrel whisperer that can command a squirrel.
I do try to communicate with animals when I'm out there. I do. I whistle and I click and I make noises because I kind of want them to know that I'm there, and I want them to not be afraid so they can get really close. But none of it works. They don't care what I'm doing. They either run away or they don't.
I feel bad because when I'm like walking around on like my breaks at work or whatever, there's squirrels all over, up in the trees by the sidewalk. And I feel bad because sometimes they're down on the sidewalk picking through trash or
Yeah.
whatever people have left behind. And I'm walking by and I'm like, I'll even try to give them a wider berth because I'm like, I don't want to bother you. You're just doing your thing. And
Yeah.
I always feel bad because like they
They
always scurry
always
away.
get her
And
way. Yeah.
I'm worried that one day it's gonna scurry away into the street and then just immediately get hit by a car. And then I'm gonna feel bad, even though I didn't really have much control over it because I was just walking. But
Yeah. It's
I'm always like,
evolution.
whenever,
Sometimes,
whenever I see them
sometimes
scurry away,
they
I'm just like,
die.
no, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
bother you. Like, you're fine. I'm not gonna do anything. Anyway, but they don't know that.
No. Go to Channing Cornwell on Amazon. Look up his books.
Yeah.
We're
Working
all
on the
waiting for
last
the new one.
yeah, the last Western Sins trilogy is in progress. So if you haven't read the first two,
I have reviews if you want to read through those ahead of time. I don't know. I don't know if anybody reads reviews of books, but I want
I
to support
genuinely I like their
literature.
reviews because they're not super long, but I feel
Yeah, I
like
try to make them short.
they're very detailed. It's better than like going on Amazon and looking at like a 3 sentence fucking 5-star review somebody gave something. It was good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Great characters. And you're like, okay, thanks for that, I guess.
I try to make my reviews um, worth reading,
Yeah.
even if they're not. I don't want to give away too much, but I try to give you a kind of an idea of what you're going to get with the book. And I
Mhm.
just want people to read. I think it's so good. I think it's such a good discipline to
I always
read
get a little
books.
afraid that it's almost like a dying thing because videos become such a prominent thing. But then I meet a lot of people who read all the time. So
Yeah,
I
it's
I
always
think
got its
reading will always
place.
be around, but
It does just because people don't, not everybody reads, they have alternatives. It's
mhm.
still, there's still a lot of benefits you can get from actually sitting and reading
And
and
it's just
chilling
like
out.
this like, intimate, very focused thing
Yeah,
you can do. Like it
yeah,
literally can take your mind off everything else because it
yeah, it
requires
can.
all of your kind of brain power to
it's
really
it's a discipline.
visualize.
It's a meditation. It's
Hmm.
like exercising. It's like playing music. If you're not focused on it, you aren't engaged with it very well,
Yeah.
and you'll either make mistakes like in exercising when you fuck up something because you're drop your kettlebell on your feet or something. I find in with music a lot of times I'm like watching TV while I'm like practicing strumming and stuff, and it's like not very productive, but it's super fun.
Hmm.
um I
Also
only can be
practicing
productive when I
the
do
muscle
it is,
memory of
and
it.
the strength,
Hmm.
which I think is a good part, and having fun is obviously like a big important part of it. But then when I sit down and I turn everything off and I put a metronome on and I just do like scales or work through things, I'm like, that's when I'm actually like getting better.
Hmm.
Anyway.
And when I write, I just shut the door and I usually just put instrumental music on and just very
Oh yeah,
focused.
like
Yeah.
Beethoven
That's
or
when I get
something.
the best, like most productive writing done. You try to write anywhere, like how people write in cafes, I'll never fucking get it. There's so much going on around you.
Yeah.
I don't like there's been a couple times where like I'm like, oh, I kind of want to sit on the couch and like work on some writing while like the TV's on. And I write like 3 sentences in a fucking hour because you're just
Yeah.
distracted the whole time. So
I can do both, but I always write better when I have nothing else
yeah.
going on. You
Right.
of course, it's
Hmm.
especially if you have other verbal aspects in your periphery, your brain is going to randomly start going away from what you're thinking
Yeah.
to go figure out what's going on because it might be important.
Yep.
But sometimes I'll start like my writing like while I'm watching TV because I'm not that serious about what I'm writing, and I'm just
Hmm.
trying to like kind of get started, get something on paper, and I'm not like trying to get it done. But I never get as much done that way,
Yeah.
for sure. All right,
All righty.
peace out. Coming
See
from
ya.
the universe. Happy
Mm.
Easter for whatever.
Yeah, for
It's,
those of you who care.
for those, yeah, whatever, whatever. I don't know.
I
Go
kept
to
forgetting it.
church. Take
Yep.
me to church.
Or
My
look for those
son
eggs
says it.
that the fucking rabbit with the bow tie left behind.
Yeah, it's such a weird holiday. I'm kind of glad my parents didn't get super into any of these holidays. It makes me a bit of an outcast, but
Yeah.
you know,
I feel like more and more people are embracing the non-traditional things. Who gives a
probably.
fuck?
Yeah. Or creating new traditions like
Mhm.
being on Twitch for 24 hours,
Bam.
challenges and whatnot. Don't be a simp. Ugh.
Nope. Be a stand for something.
Just stand for something. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. You'll fall out. Leave
Yeah, there
Vegas
you
for
go.
anything.
Um,
Is that topical? Is that
yeah,
modern?
I think this is where
My
we really
hip.
got to cut the recording because
We should
now
probably just stop it.
we're just rambling at this point.
It's just nothing. I'm
Nobody knows
hungry,
how to
man.
end it.
I forget to eat food when we
Yeah,
do
I'm pretty
these
hungry
early morning
too.
ones. I need to
Well,
get
let's
some.
get off here and get some lunch then.
I'm gonna get some Wendy's. I think I'm gonna days
Ooh,
off are my like. I'm gonna just do whatever. I don't
yeah,
care.
fuck it,
Life is
man.
short.
Dude,
Might as
I'm
well
kind
eat
of the
some
same way. I
food.
live such a regimented life during my
Yeah,
work week that my weekends are a little bit more free for all. I
for
understand.
sure. Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.